Hello and welcome to the channel. We are the Hologrumps. I am Colum.
And I'm Liam.
And we're here today to talk to you about Bruce Maddox. Who he is, what he's been doing, what he has done, and, well, hopefully what we can expect in the future of Picard.
But before we begin, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you like what you see here, because we will be delving deep into Star Trek lore. Perhaps.
So we're here today to talk about the mysterious Bruce Maddox and why he is important to the plot of Star Trek Picard. We'll talk about theories, possible directions the plot might take. What if Picard was actually Shinzon? He survived and now lives a secret life as a sleeper agent with his two Romulan Tal Shiar.
We think not.
not.
Before we begin, let's establish that although Maddox's actor, Brian Brophy, hasn't appeared on screen in over 6 years, he is still alive, active, and currently the director of theatre arts at California Institute of Technology. And also, Picard executive producer Michael Chabon and Akiva Goldsman confirm that Bruce Maddox will be important to the season. Asked in an interview by Heavy.com if the mention of Dr. Maddox was an Easter egg or inside joke for longtime fans of the show, they said, "It was definitely not an Easter egg." Quoted, "With Bruce Maddox, we came to Bruce Maddox because we needed Bruce Maddox," revealed Chabon, with Goldsman adding that it's a setup, that it's not an Easter egg.
Now, the early history of Commander Maddox is quite interesting and it informs us as to why he's actually part of the story. So he was actually a famous cyberneticist, one of the most prominent Federation researchers in that field in the late 24th century. He worked in the cybernetics division of the Daystrom Institute and in 2365 was the associate chair of robotics during the events of Measure of a Man. In his desire to disassemble data and recreate his positronic brain, he came into opposition with the crew of the Enterprise D. The preceding legal dispute on data's sentience, and therefore his inalienable rights, ended amicably, with the judge, Captain Louvois, ruling that data is not the property of Starfleet, and he is granted the right to choose his own fate. Data and Maddox parted on amicable terms, with Maddox now referring to Data as he instead of it. He's remarkable.
Data and Maddox remained in correspondence throughout Data's life. In Season 4, Episode 11, Data's Day, Maddox requested primary source information on Data's day-to-day operations. Data is quoted as saying, "Dear Commander Maddox, I agree that your study lacks the primary source information on my programming and operation. In response to your request, this correspondence will include a complete record of my activities during a normal day, with particular emphasis on friendship." Because friendship is magic.
Thanks, Liam.
His correspondence has very strong emphasis on Data's endeavour to discover his humanity.
Now, this leads us into STP. We learn Dr. Agnes Jurati was recruited by Bruce Maddox for the Daystrom Cybernetics Division. Jurati states that despite Data's death, we came so close to creating another sentient android. He then disappeared after the attack on Mars and the ban on synthetics. He theorized that Data's entire being could be reconstituted from one cell of his positronic brain. Jurati refers to this as a radical idea. This leads us into the speculation. What if it was just that? Radical and impossible.
Yeah, precisely. There's been a lot of talk lately about this idea because it just seems almost ludicrous, really. And what if it was just that? Is it possible that Maddox got his hands on lore, Data's identical predecessor, and attempted to use his working, functional positronic brain as a template to create synthetic androids, using his fractal neuronic cloning idea as a ruse for why his androids' brains and personalities appear so similar to Data, using perhaps a Frankenstein of Data's remaining memories from B4 and Lore's advanced positronic brain, perhaps leading to his disappearance or death. Maybe Lore's violent and rebellious nature was deemed too risky to be used as a template for creating new life.
Now, there is an emphasis on twins in the first episode. Although Lore is not Data's twin, they are identical in appearance. Data is Lore's duplicate, and the theme of the premiere is a focus on twin synths. With the addition of the Romulan Borg cube at the end, this further leads credence to the belief that Lore is perhaps involved in some way. Referencing the Next Generation episode Descent, and the involvement of the Borg and Hugh, a Borg which gained individuality and spread it, ultimately serving Lore.
And of course, we see Hugh in the trailers for the show, so he is definitely going to appear at some point.
These provide us with additional links to Descent. Also seen in this episode that Lore has the ability and the knowledge to reconstruct a Borg ship. The possibility of tying in with this new cube is evidently there, but perhaps we're giving the writers a bit too much credit there.
Yes, well, there's always that possibility. Hashtag point of light. But it is possible that Lore has implanted his positronic brain into Maddox's body. It was proven possible in Deep Space Nine's episode Life Support, with Bashir constructing a positronic brain. Lore's positronic brain is also complete. Could it be grafted with a human brain? Is Maddox dead? Is Lore attempting to create a biosynthetic to masquerade amongst the humans and to retain his android form?
What if Daj is the daughter of Data and Picard? Picard has a bionic heart. Maybe they used his DNA to create Daj, and the painting Data gave Picard was intended to be Picard's daughter. We have seen CBS give us strange DNA splicing already with the trouble with Edward. Perhaps it was foreshadowing for things to come.
But that's dumb. Hopefully that's not the route they're going to go down, but you never know. You never know. But in all seriousness, it's more than likely the overarching theme of the series could be the next trial of the human race, with Picard defending the actions of his species to the Continuum. Why have they turned their back on this new life they have created? As Picard said in Measure of a Man, won't we be judged by how we treat that race? Perhaps there is a literal, omnipotent judge.
Now, Q previously stated that the trial never ends. That the true adventure is, and I'm quoting, charting the unknown possibilities of existence. Can we expect the involvement of the Continuum? And this will hopefully be our topic for next Monday's video.
Depending on what bombshells we get from episode 2 of Star Trek Picard. Well then, Colin, going back to Measure of a Man, do you believe that the 19 producers of Picard have the right to perhaps take away such beautiful moments that we see in this episode and maybe tarnish Star Trek history? If Maddox turns out to be a crazy villain, does it ruin the character development he had in the episode? Should we leave these moments alone and charter new courses? Or do we need to reference the past events of TNG to keep audiences engaged?
Thank you. I definitely think that Maddox is an interesting addition to the story. It is nice to call back to the past, to what's come before. I'm not too annoyed if they ruin his character, you know. If they ruin his character, that's just bad writing on their part. It doesn't diminish the episodes that have come before, in my opinion.
Yeah, it goes back to the same type of thing as Star Wars, where a new writing team can't come in and take away what has already been done because it was never in the vision of the original people.
You can't replace my memories of enjoying the episode.
Exactly, because the 19 producers that are involved in this weren't involved with Measure of a Man. So it was never the intention if Bruce Maddox turns out to be some crazy super villain that was how it was supposed to go. Because
I sincerely hope that he isn't a supervillain. I sincerely hope he isn't some maniac with a grand plan, and that he just wanted to create artificial life and to further his scientific pursuits, and it's just gone awry. As they say, you know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
And also, as well as that, I think it'd just be lazy to just make him some crazy villain because they just look back in the episode and it's like they'd missed the point of it, because it had a very positive, uplifting ending where Data and Maddox, of course, have an amicable parting. And of course, we see they stayed in correspondence and they grew maybe in a friendship together and they had great respect. And to take that away at this moment would show a lack of understanding on the parts of the writers, that they just needed
a villain.
Yeah, they just needed a villain, which hopefully isn't the case. Let's keep our villain to Mr. Narek, the Romulan who looks kind of like Spock
with a Stewie Griffith voice.
Yes, of course. I am Narek.
He's a poor man's Spock.
Yeah.
But
see, the other thing about having characters like Narek, I don't mind having characters like that because it doesn't do any damage to past iterations of Star Trek, because again, it's charting a new course forward. So that's the only problem I have with threading on the ground of Measure of a Man. It's just, don't damage it. Please.
Also, they're changing the personality of Romulans as well. They're making all the aliens more human, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Their personalities are becoming more relatable, as opposed to what Romulans used to be, which was just insanely paranoid.
And that about wraps up our discussion. So what do you think? Do you think Star Trek should be charting new courses forward, or threading on the grounds of the past? Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. For the Holograms, I've been Liam.
And I'm Colum.
Take care.